Hey YouTube, wanted to give you guys a rundown from Friday as to the baits I was using and rods and whatnot. So one of the big players was a Casey Ashley Underspin with a Reaction Innovations uh, Little Dipper swim bait. This one here is in Sexy Shad. Excuse me. And then also one of the Buckeye Lures Sue Spins. This is a 3/8 ounce model. The Casey Ashley one is a 1/4 ounce. I usually don't throw any heavier than that. Sometimes I will go up to a half, depending on the conditions I'm dealing with. But around the bridge, I predominantly throw the 1/4 ounce. But I was throwing the Reaction Innovations Little Dipper in Sexy Shad, and I believe it is called Money Shot Violet. More of a translucent color with some black and purple flake. But I made a little modification to these. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the camera, but traditional blades on the Underspin are just a flat blade. They really don't have any real thump to them, or they just kind of float along underneath the bait. Really not a lot going on there. But I replaced that with a very small willow leaf blade, spinnerbait blade. It's got a little more of a concave design to it, so it'll actually pick up the water. I don't know if you guys can see that. But this one here has more of a cup on the bottom, so it's going to produce a lot more thump. It's going to want to spin. The downside to it is you can't reel it very fast, because then the bait will want to keel over onto one side instead of run straight. But that was producing a lot of bites for me. Caught some of my better fish doing that. Then also, one of the other big players, I'm probably not going to roll a whole lot of footage in there because I've got other videos that have me using a spoon. But the other player was a Strike King Sexy Spoon. This is the 5.5 inch in the Sexy Shad color. I usually throw this one and then the green gizzard shad. These produce very well. You don't have to be out on a ledge on Kentucky Lake to throw these things. They will produce on just about any lake that has big shad. Anyways, one of the other big baits that I was using, I've got two of them right here, two different colors that I typically throw during this time of the year on the lakes around here. And this is the Strike King 6XD. This one right here is the powder blue back chartreuse. Works really good on the lakes around here. We got a lot of big gizzard shad on some of the lakes. I'm not going to name which ones because well, I don't want to give away one of the secrets. And then of course, chartreuse Sexy Shad. These ones here, these are just stock. Really not going on with them. I do make a couple modifications, and I'll show you one real quick. It's a really simple, easy mod. The only downside is it takes a while to do it. Here is a almost brand new 6XD in the powder blue back chartreuse. Here is a 10XD that I've had for a while. It hasn't seen much action, as of yet, because it's finally got where I want it. If you look at the two colors, you'll notice the 10XD is more faded. It's not as bright and vibrant as this 6XD. It's because I've let this one here sit outside in the sun for about 3 months. I wanted it to tone down a little bit. I didn't want it to be as bright. That's one little easy modification you can make, yeah, it takes a long time to do it, but it makes a big difference. And then anyways, onto the rods. For my cranking rods, and you'll see this is one of the uh, I believe this is the 6XD in Sexy Blueback Herring. I think that's what this one's called. But I've been throwing it on a 7'6" Abu Garcia Veritas winch series. This is a medium heavy 7'6" model. I pair that up with, this is one of the old Bass Pro Shops Extreme reels. This is back when they were really good. The newer ones, not so much. If Bass Pro Shop would ever come back out with these things, I would stock up on them. These are one of the best reels that they ever produced, in my opinion. But anyways, this is a 5.4 to 1. That's more what I prefer for cranking, especially throwing these big crankbaits, especially something like the 10XD. They will wear you out trying to throw it on a 6.3 or a 6.4. But I pair these up with 12-pound test Seagar Red Label. It's one of my favorite lines. It's very smooth. You can compare it to some other brands, like the Berkeley Vanish fluorocarbon. If you run your fingers down it, you'll feel that it's got some little flat spots in it. The Red Label is pretty round. You don't really run into too much of that. It's pretty much the same throughout, which will help you. I mean, those flat spots are weak points. Yeah, I did break one off. Actually, I broke two off. I only got one of them on video, but they were completely my fault. I had a nick in the line, and I did not retie. But, anyways, one other thing is change out your hooks. I know I've said it a couple times in the videos. These are Mustad triple grip. I believe these are number 1 or 1/0. I can't remember for sure. I throw as big of a hook as I can when I'm throwing big crankbaits. And the way I judge my hook size is if I cannot get the hooks to touch together, which means they cannot tangle up. You'll see right here, these that are factory standard on a Strike King, these are pretty close to touching. And if I worked them a little bit, I could probably get them to touch. But I like to go really big, oversized hooks. Number one, it adds a little bit of weight, which will help you get that bait down just a couple of feet more, which is really important during this time of the year. But anyways, enough about crankbaits. One of the other rods and line that I'm using, this is a 7'3" Blackout, number 8 Tackle Company Blackout. Awesome rods, by the way. They're only like 79 bucks compared to, you know, $100, $120 rods that I've got out there in the boat. But anyways, I pair that up with a Lew's Speed Spool, 6 point, I believe this is a 6.4 to 1. Yep, 6.4 to 1 for the underspin. So this thing here, you want to more or less crawl it. Typically, you'll throw it out and just kind of count it down. You can see this one here is kind of tore up. I super glue my baits to the heads, which will help prevent them from pulling down. So that one there I didn't. Maybe I didn't glue this one. No, I didn't glue this one here. Anyways, you know, super glue, a little dab of it right on the shank of the hook will help prevent you know, tearing up baits as much and losing them. You'll see in the video there's a couple fish that I caught, bait came right off. But you know, put a little bit of glue on there, keep them on. But anyways, this is 15-pound test Seagar Red Label fluorocarbon. Excuse me. I find that this 7.3 is pretty much perfect because you're not really rearing back on a fish really hard when you set the hook on them. You're more or less just pulling into them. And do not set the hook the moment you feel the fish hit. Just keep winding until you feel him load up. Once you feel that rod start to bend a little bit, then pull into them. Because a lot of times these fish will just come up and grab this blade. Or they'll grab the back of the bait. They're not quite getting the hook in their mouth. And they'll also come up and swat at it, especially white bass. They'll drive you nuts doing that. And then for the spoon, this is a Cabela's Tournament ZX. This is their flipping stick. For me, I find it is perfect for a spoon. It's got just enough tip, plenty of backbone, because a lot of times you're setting the hook and you may have 3 or 4 feet of slack in your line, because you do not want to be tight on a spoon, because otherwise it will just fall. You want it to actually flutter back and forth, and it will not do that if you're pulling tight on it. You want it's called a semi-slack line, which is where you've got a little bit of bow in the line. Hopefully you all can pick that up. As long as you've got that little bit of bow in the line, this spoon will sit there and flutter to the bottom the way it's supposed to. And depending on how deep you're fishing, you may have quite a bit of slack, especially if you're doing really big rips up off the bottom. Just watch what I'm doing in the video. You'll see how I pop that bait up, and then I'll let it flutter back down. That's when you're going to get 99% of your hits. On the lake that I've been fishing here lately, most of my hits have been coming within the first foot that I let that spoon fall from when I give it slack after I rip it up off the bottom. And sometimes also the fish want it just kind of lightly hopped, almost like fishing a worm. Just little bitty 2-3 inch hops off the bottom, and they'll just come over and pick it up. One of the other baits I was using is an Alabama rig. I'm not going to go too much into that. I was throwing it on a 7'9" Alabama rig swim bait rod by Cabela's Tournament ZX, and it and the spoon I am throwing on 20-pound test red label, Seaguar red label fluorocarbon, 100% fluorocarbon. But anyways, if you guys like the video, subscribe, and I've got more coming out. I'm working on getting a couple new cameras, so video and audio quality will be much better here really soon, I hope. Hoping this Thursday to pick up a new camera. But until then, guys, we'll catch you next time. what we're looking for. Woo. Ouch. That's a little bit better one. We're throwing something, they might want a little bit more. A little big spoon in there. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can just keep him down now. I did get a good hook set on it. Missed that one. He knocked the hell out of it. Got him that time. I love a spoon bite. Oh yeah, man. It's just like a giant bait fish. Well, I know. It's the way they hit it though. They don't play around when they hit this thing. Whoop! Quick release. Got them fired up now. Whoa! Ow! Very sharp treble hooks. I do not play with them. Please be on. I'm gonna boat flip him. Never felt this fish hit. That's why you change your hooks. That one ain't coming out. There we go. Another offshore cranking fish.